We are talking about our secrets to success for personal finance and credit. So the first part of that is to really plan ahead. So you have to think about what your spending plan is going to look like. So plan according to your current income. So we're not planning for the raise that we're going to get in 2 months. We have to look at what we have right now. We want to plan ahead for at least 6 months. So that's a good buffer for you if something happens. So you lose your job or you lose income, you get a demotion, something like that. You want to make sure that you include spending money for everyone in your household. So even your children, you go to Walmart and they start picking stuff up off the shelves, and sometimes we give in. So you have to kind of plan for things like that to happen. Set aside money for emergencies. So things happen, right? We walk outside, we have a flat tire. What do? It's an emergency, we have to figure it out. And then everyone needs to agree on our plan. So just because we include our money for everyone, we also have to include them in our spending plan. So in order to do that, we have to kind of evaluate what our debt and income look like. We want to determine our monthly income and our monthly expenses. So this image here is just kind of an idea of where some people would put their spending. Usually your housing should be anywhere from 29 to 30%. And transportation, food, debts that you already have, personal savings, utilities, clothing, and then like medical. So you are not always going to be like this exactly. Sometimes you're going to have different categories that you're going to spend money on. So we also have different types of expenses. So we have our irregular, unexpected expenses. So those would include like our emergencies that come up. They don't happen all the time, and we didn't expect them to happen. Our regular fixed expenses are things like rent or insurance, things that normally don't change, but they happen every month. Irregular expected expenses. So if we have a trash bill that you pay every 3 months, that's a regular expected expense. So it's something that happens every so often and you know it's coming. And then your regular variable would be like utilities. So your electric changes usually, unless you're on the budget, usually changes every month based on consumption, but you know that's coming as well. So we also have to consider what our habits and attitudes are. So as you can see here in our Venn diagram, you have attitude, habits, and behavior. And right here in the middle is where they all kind of come together. So that just shows you how these 3 things make that happen. So attitude could be, I had a really bad day today, so I'm gonna go treat myself. Your behavior is that you actually do that, right? So you go out and you treat yourself and you go have fun, or something that you do very often is your habit. So if that is a habit that you have, then you see where that kind of all comes together. So we have to think about things like that. And then our money personalities. So believe it or not, things shape who we are and how we spend our money. So our childhood experiences, what we were taught growing up, our age. So usually when we're a little bit younger, we're a little bit less frugal than we are when we get older. Not great at budgeting. The people around you. So do we get peer pressure? Do our friends want us to go out and hang out with them? Spend money that we shouldn't? And then even your mood. So just like before, kind of going out, if you had a bad day or if you had a really good day and you want to celebrate. So rating our spending habits. So you want to look at things that are easy to change. You want to look at things that are hard to change. Is a house or something, a big goal, worth giving those things up for? Are you ready to start budgeting? Some people will never be ready, and we have to figure that out, right? Other things that you want to do first. So maybe that is not a priority right this minute. There's something else that we want to do before we get there. And then what is one thing that you can commit to right now? Our credit scores are based off of formulas, and so these factors are what shape that formula. So your payment history, your accounts owed, types of credit, your credit history, and your new credit. So 35% of your FICO score is made up of your payment history, so how often you've paid that bill. 30% is how much you owe, so your amounts owed. New credit accumulation are those new inquiries and things that you've opened. Types of credit is 10%. So your types of credit are revolving, installment, different types of credit. And then your length of credit is how long you've had that line open. So there are two major players when you're looking at scores. So you have FICO scores and you have Vantage scores. So what it comes down to is the weight of the things. So just like we were talking about in this last slide, this is what weighs a FICO. FICO ranges from 300 to 850. Most Vantage is around 501 to 990. Vantage 3.0 and 4.0 were adapted to use the 300 to 850 model. So the weight breakdowns, we've already went over FICO, but looking at our Vantage scores, 40% of that is payment history. So you see how that is a little bit different than your 35. 21% is age and type of credit. 20% is your utilization. 11 total balances. 5 is recent behaviors, and then 3 is available credit. So you see how big of a difference that those things are in the two. So who uses FICO and who uses Vantage? Our FICO scores are usually lenders. So you're looking at mortgages. FICO 2 and 5 are common for mortgages, and 8 is used for auto loans and bank card lending. Vantage scores, credit card companies, some installment loans, and then fintech lenders. So when we're looking at our credit, what are some common problems that people are facing? So pattern of late payments, past poor credit performance. So even if it's not something that's affecting us right now, if it's happened in the past, it still could be affecting us. Bankruptcies, judgments or liens, past due or collections, charge-offs, and then foreclosures or repossessions. So on top of all of that, how do we get out of credit crunches? So credit crunches are things that, like, you get into the credit cards and then you max them out, or you open this card, charge on it, you open this card, you charge on it, you open this card, you charge on it. So we have to be honest with ourselves about what we owe. How much do we owe out there? We want to add it up. We want to figure out why we have these problems. So we really have to kind of dig down deep a little bit and figure out where it's coming from. Decide how many credit cards we really need. Do we need 15? Probably not. Paying off or down as much as you can. So even making a little bit more than your minimum payment each month, it's going to help you to pay that down faster. Consider consolidation loans. So putting all those together, or even balance transfers. So you open a new card, you transfer that balance over there, and then even like look at maybe closing the old one. Keep adjusting those habits. So spending plans, unfortunately, are not one and done. You're not ever going to be done with them. You always have to continue to improve it and make those changes. Establishing and maintaining our savings. Automating our payments to be on time, and then maybe looking up things to give up temporarily. So we also, in this, want to look at our credit files. So we want to know exactly what's on there. We want to know if we have money problems, if we have collections or charge-offs. We want to know exactly where that's coming from. So on your credit file, you have identifying information or your personal identification. You have your credit information, so that's going to be all your credit lines. Your public record information. So if you have liens or judgments or bankruptcies, those are going to show up in that section. And then your inquiries. So who has pulled your credit? So ordering your credit report, you can always come to an agency like us. We do charge you for your soft credit pull, but it does not have an effect on your score. You get your scores, all 3 of them, or you can go to something like annualcreditreport.com, and as of COVID, you can pull those once a week. So you can pull each credit bureau once a week, but they do not give you scores. But it helps you to know exactly what's on there.